Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 3, Hiranyakashipu's plan to become immortal, text number 13. Tavasanam dvijagavam parameshtyam jagatpate bhavaya shreyase bhutyai shemaya vijayaya cha. Tavasanam dvijagavam parameshtyam jagatpate bhavaya shreyase bhutyai shemaya vijaya cha. Tavasanam dvijagavam parameshtyam jagatpate bhavaya shreyase bhutyai Shamaya Vijayaya Cha. Tavasanam Dvijagavam Parameshtam Jagatpate Pravaya Shreyase Bhutyai Shamaya Vijayaya Cha. Jenske. Tavasanam dvijagavam parameshtyam jagatpate bhavaya shreyase bhutyai shamaya vijayaya cha. Tava, your asanam, position on the throne, dvija, of the Brahminical culture, or the Brahmanas, gavam, of the cows, parameshtyam, supreme, jagatpate, O master of the whole universe, bhavaya, for improvement, shreyase, for the ultimate happiness, bhutyai, for increasing the opulence, shemaya, for the maintenance and good fortune, vijaya, for the victory and increasing prestige, cha, and. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O Lord Brahma, your position within the universe is certainly most auspicious for everyone, especially the cows and brahmanas. Brahminical culture and the protection of cows can be increasingly glorified, and thus all kinds of material happiness, opulence, and good fortune will automatically increase. But, unfortunately, if Hiranyakashipu occupies your seat, everything will be lost. Purport. In this verse, the words Dvija Gava Parameshtyam indicate the most exalted position of the Brahmanas, Brahminical culture, and the cows. In Vedic culture, the welfare of the cows and the welfare of the Brahmanas are essential. Without a proper arrangement for developing Brahminical culture and protecting cows, all the affairs of administration will go to hell. Being afraid that Hiranyakashipu would occupy the post of Brahma, all the demigods were extremely disturbed. Hiranyakashipu was a well-known demon, and the demigods knew that if the demons and Rakshasas were to occupy the supreme post, Brahminical culture and the protection of cows would come to an end. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 5:29, the original proprietor of everything is Lord Krishna. Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. The Lord, therefore, knows particularly well how to develop the material condition of the living entities within this material world. In every universe, there is one Brahma engaged on behalf of Lord Krishna. As confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Tene Brahma Ridha Yat Adi Kavaye. The principal creator in each Brahmanda is Lord Brahma, who imparts Vedic knowledge to his disciples and sons. On every planet, the king or supreme controller must be a representative of Brahma. Therefore, if a Rakshasa or demon were situated in Brahma's post, then the entire arrangement of the universe, especially the protection of the Brahminical culture and cows, would be ruined. All the demigods anticipated this danger, and therefore they went to request Lord Brahma to take immediate steps to thwart Hiranyakashipu's plan. In the beginning of creation, Lord Brahma was attacked by two demons, Madhu and Kaitaba. But Lord Krishna saved him. Therefore, Krishna is addressed as Madhu Kaitaba Hantri. Now again, Hiranyakashipu is trying to replace Brahma. The material world is so situated that even the position of Brahma, not to speak of ordinary living entities, is sometimes in danger. Nonetheless, until the time of Hiranyakashipu, no one had tried to replace Lord Brahma. Hiranyakashipu, however, was such a great demon that he maintained this ambition. The word bhutyai means for increasing opulence, and the word shreyase refers to ultimately returning home back to Godhead. In spiritual advancement, one's material position improves at the same time that the path of liberation becomes clear and one is freed from material bondage. If one is situated in an opulent position in spiritual advancement, his opulence never decreases. Therefore, such a spiritual benediction is called bhuti or vibhuti. Krishna confirms this in Bhagavad Gita 10:41. Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam mamate jom sa sambhavan. If a devotee advances in spiritual consciousness and thus becomes materially opulent, also his position is a special gift from the Lord. Such opulence is never to be considered material. At the present, especially on this planet Earth, the influence of Lord Brahma has decreased considerably, and the representatives of Hiranyakashipu, the Rakshasas and demons, have taken charge. Therefore, there is no protection of Brahminical culture and cows, which are the basic prerequisites for all kinds of good fortune. This age is very dangerous because society is being managed by demons and Rakshasas. Kavasanam dvijagavam parameshtam digatpate pavaya shreyase bhutyai shemaya vijayaya cha. O Lord Brahma, your position within this universe is certainly most auspicious for everyone, especially the cows and brahmanas. Brahminical culture and the protection of cows can be increasingly glorified, and thus all kinds of material happiness, opulence, and good fortune will automatically increase. But unfortunately, if Hiranyakashipu occupies your seat, everything will be lost. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatam Deve Gauravani Vacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskyatyade Satarane. Here is mentioned Brahminical culture and cow protection, something which is obviously unknown in the materialistic society. As a matter of fact, even devotees, in the name of cow protection, sometimes are thinking about becoming vegans. Now, there may be some truth in the fact that the way cows are protected, cows are not protected, and even the milk may not be so healthy sometimes. But still, the idea of becoming a vegan is not exactly a great step towards Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, if you go back to the spiritual world and you're served all these milk products, gulab jamuns and curd and malpur, whatever you're being served, fried and cooked in ghee, you say, sorry, I'm a vegan. Well, out of the whole spiritual world, you would be the only vegan in the whole creation. Of course, no one's going to deny that the cows are being protected in Goloka Vrindavan. But if one is a vegan for some other reason, then you wouldn't fit in very well. And even on this planet, the problem is not the problem is that people are not doing their part to protect the cows. Simply stopping drinking milk doesn't protect any cow. As a matter of fact, when in the story of Putana, when Putana offered her milk to Krishna in order to kill him, she actually got benefited. So I don't think there is anyone's milk more poisonous than Putana. It was made of it had the most poisonous element in it, Kalakuta poison. And yet she got benefited by offering the milk and Krishna's drinking it. So milk offered to Krishna benefits everyone. And if one doesn't offer that milk to Krishna, doesn't offer milk to Krishna, Krishna will not be happy. And if Krishna is not happy, then no one's going to be happy. Krishna is not a vegan. He's eternally been drinking milk, and he's not going to stop it because he's going to join some vegan society. And if we reject the prasadam of Krishna because we're vegans, then this type of mentality, this type of discrimination is not in the devotional service of Krishna consciousness. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, after he converted Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to become a Vaishnava, and he came with some prasadam in the morning from Lord Jagannath, then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, although he was a very strict follower of the Vedic culture, which meant there were so many rules and regulations, especially if you're a Smarta Brahmin, that you have to follow in terms of cleanliness. But as soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered the prasadam to him, even though it was early in the morning, then he immediately accepted and ate it. And he explained that prasadam is transcendental. It can't be contaminated. And if it's brought from any place, from a foreign place, whatever, one should immediately accept it. Doesn't mean you have to eat a bucket of it. But one has to at least honor the prasadam. Even Haridas Thakur, when he wasn't eating until he completed his rounds, he also, when he was brought prasadam, he said, I'm sick. And so Govinda asked him, what is your disease? He said, I can't chant all my rounds. Because he was chanting 189 rounds, 190 rounds a day. So if we didn't eat prasadam until we chanted 190 rounds a day, we'd all starve to death. But, maybe he was only on his 160th round, and he said, I'm sorry, I'm sick. What's your disease? I haven't finished my rounds. Therefore, I won't take prasadam. But then I can't refuse prasadam. So I believe he took a little bit of it. So he didn't say, well, I'm sorry, I can't eat this. I'm a vegan. Come back tomorrow. Give me some, rice or something I can accept. that kind of vision is not very transcendental, that this is non-different from Krishna. I like Krishna's flute, but I don't like his peacock feather. Maybe you can get another feather or something, like an ostrich feather, and then... Then there's Brahminical culture. Now, obviously there's no Brahminical culture in the Western world because there are no Brahmins. There hardly anyone could be considered to be in the mode of goodness. They don't even know what the mode of goodness is, what to speak of being considered to be in the mode of goodness. If you don't even know what goodness is, how can anyone be goodness? Of course, they think that you're good if they have some conception, obey your father and mother. Father and mother say, get a job in a meat factory, and you do it, so you're a good person. Or you're helping a old lady across the street, so you're a good person. No matter that she's being helped across the street so she can go to the bank and rob it. And you're becoming an accessory to the crime. And he's going to go to hell, or she's going to go to hell for robbing the bank. And you're going to go to hell with her for helping her. Never mind, you're a good person if you give some street person a donation, you're a good person. Never mind, he's going to use it to buy some heroin and shoot up. And you're going to go to hell with him because you're helping him go to hell. You're assisting him. So good, they don't know what good is. Krishna says, Sama Dhamma Tapaso Cham Shanti Arjunam Evacha Jnana Vijnanam Astikyam Brahma Karma Sabhavajam. Sama, equanimity. Keeping the mind peaceful, not worrying about things that are unnecessary, not sitting here and thinking about a million different things except for what's going on here. That's called equanimity. Not worrying about the past, present, and the future. Well, the past and the future, but being in the present. Therefore, being peaceful. If one is eternal, then one should be peaceful. Because one is eternal, there's nothing to worry about. Because whatever the past was, whatever the future will be, will still be around. It will still be eternal. Nothing is going to change us. Therefore, we should peacefully hear about our eternal existence and how to achieve it and how to achieve the supreme eternal. That's called Sama. And Dhamma means that my senses are agitated, they want to go here and there, they want to do this and that, but it has nothing to do with me or my objective or what's good for me. I'm just being agitated by my senses, which want to send me to hell as quickly as possible. But I've decided I don't want to go to hell. I'd rather go somewhere else. The senses say, well, wait a second. We made a deal a long time ago. You're going to go to hell, and I was going to go to hell with you. No, I wasn't going to go to hell with you. I was just going to send you to hell. I'm just going to stay around here. So that's called Dhamma. Do things which will actually help control our mind and increase our intelligence so that we can actually understand clearly who we are and what our real goal in life is, rather than just being pushed by our senses to do things that have nothing to do with our self-interest. And tapasya means it's going to be tapasya to do this. In other words, by tapasya, we can control our mind and senses. There's no other way of doing it. Because our tapasya is to chant Hare Krishna and at least to listen. That's our main tapasya. And that's a big tapasya. Lord Brahma sat on the lotus flower for thousands of years. Obviously, he was getting a little bored because there was no light. There was no light, there was no sun, therefore there was no light. Just a lotus flower. Of course, it was probably smelled nice. Didn't have to worry about getting aromatherapy or anything. He was on the supreme lotus flower. It smells quite nice. And lotus flowers, I'm sure if you sat on a big one, it would be quite comfortable. So he was sitting there for a while, but he was getting a little bored. Thought came to his mind what's going on? How did I get on this lotus flower? There's no light to turn on to figure out where I am. Maybe I should do a little investigation. So he became jignasu, a little curious. Although I'm sure in the back of his memory he had some remember, because Krishna before the creation just didn't throw him on the lotus flower and say, good luck. I hope you make it this time. No, he actually instructed Lord Brahma about the whole creation. He gave him more or less a run-through, some kind of like preliminary understanding of what he was about to do, and he gave him a run-through of how to create the universe, etc., etc. So it was in the back of his mind something about universe, and there was some four-armed person with lotus flower, it looked a little smaller than mine. But, he gave me this run-through about something about this universe, but I don't see any universe. So he decided to climb down the stem of the lotus, take a look around. And on the way down, he heard two syllables, ta-pa. Ta-pa, yes, which means to heat up. Or as we say in the slang, ISKCON slang, to get into the fire. Doesn't mean to throw yourself into a fire, but it means to get into the spiritual consciousness, to heat up our consciousness, purify our consciousness in the fire of ecstasy. So he decided, well, that sounds like a good idea. So he sat for thousands of years trying to control his mind. And then he was able to see, after some time, when his mind became a little bit more peaceful, completely peaceful, he was able to see the spiritual world. Now, we were here on this planet Earth. We probably didn't have so much training in how to have a peaceful mind beforehand. We probably didn't go to school, and the first instruction was, Denosmin yata dehe kamaram yovan ramdara. Probably that wasn't the first instruction we received at school. And probably that instruction wasn't repeated successively at every grade of knowledge of school that we attended. And in the university, there was you can get your PhD in eternity, study of eternity. No, these things are just unknown. So, if there is no understanding of who we are, what our objective is, then people are not in the fire of devotional life. They think it's a waste of time. They think the only thing that exists is right before them in the form of the material energy, and the only thing worthwhile is to collect as much as you can and try to exploit it and enjoy it. Chew it until it doesn't exist and then spit it out. But he was into Tapasya, he saw the spiritual world, and he was actually he realized who he actually is. And at least in one part of the Bhagavatam, then he was one of the Brahmas who did this. He was a cowherd boy and he shook hands with Krishna. Others are Brahmas, a gopi, probably a manjari. In any case, if we want to come to the platform of equanimity and sense and mind control, we have to do tapasya. Now our tapasya is, as I said, is principally trying to control our mind, just chant in here. It took Brahma thousands of years to do it, but the holy name is much more merciful. He wasn't chanting the holy name, he was straight into meditation, which is under the control of the super soul. Therefore, undoubtedly the super soul was helping him. But obviously we don't have thousands of years of the demigods trying to control our mind. We don't even know if we have 50 seconds left. So therefore we have to chant Hare Krishna and try to listen to the name. And the name is Krishna, unlimitedly beautiful, unlimitedly strong, unlimitedly knowledgeable, unlimitedly famous, unlimited renounced. So therefore there's something to attract our mind if we chant it properly. Even more than a lotus flower. And socham, cleanliness. And if we perform tapasya, we control our mind and senses, then our minds will become purified. And in that purified mind, we'll be able to see things as they are, including Krishna and the spiritual world. Shantir, and then one will actually become peaceful. jnana and real knowledge, that whatever was theoretical knowledge we had will be revealed in vijnana, and will actually become, our lives will become astikyam, actually religious. So who knows this? Who's actually being trained for that? That's what this Krishna consciousness movement is meant for. If we think, well, I'm a devotee, I don't need these things like, austerity, oh, come on. That's for the neophytes. Samadhamma, sense and mind control. I did that years ago. And my mind, whatever it thinks of course, it's devotional. It's everything is in relation to Krishna, even my fantasies. And Socham, everything I touch is clean, becomes purified. So how can I not be clean? Everything I touch is clean. When I touch my nose, it becomes clean. When I touch the wall, it becomes clean. So everything is clean. And Jnana, I know everything. I read the Bhagavad Gita twice. And Vijnana, I am who I am. And my life is out of religiosity. No matter what I do, it must be divine. Even Krishna appreciates it. So we have to come to the platform of Brahminical life, Brahminical behavior, and then we'll be able to chant Hare Krishna, and it'll have more of an effect on us. And the more effect it has, the more we come to the Brahminical stage of life, by which we can understand things clearly and see the great opportunity to surrender to Krishna, to follow the process of Sharanagati. Where it becomes more and more enthusiastic, it becomes clearer and more enlivening. Then we can come to the perfection of life. But these things are not known. The value of the cows, the value of milk, Prabhupada said it produces finer brain tissues that lead to clear thinking. The cows are the model of peacefulness. Even their cow dung and the urine are medicinal. Even if you live near a cow and you smell the cow, then you become cured of so many diseases. Your mind becomes peaceful. But people don't know this. Luckily, I read something about the coronavirus, that because these meat packing places, they're going out of business, and therefore they're afraid people are going to there won't be any more meat. Oh, how unfortunate. Maybe if that lasts long enough, people will get back some intelligence, and they'll become more receptive to the message of Krishna. Now, here it mentions that Hiranyakashipu wanted to take over the universe. He wanted to take over Brahma's position. So we don't have too much time to talk about that now. But the point is, whoever the leader is, that's what goes on. If the leader is good, then the followers will become good. If the leaders are demons, then the followers generally become demons, unless there are some good people being suppressed by the demons who are just waiting for the demon to go away. But in modern society, it's actually planned by the demons, who the actual people who are in charge of society, directing society, to make everyone into a demon, asura, to kill religion. And therefore, we don't really know who's in charge for the most part. But we do know that the educational system is made to make people reject religion, that the communication system is made to help people reject religiosity and become more and more sinful, more and more in the mode of ignorance and passion. We know that the leaders in society, their vision is that of the demons, simply economic development for sense gratification. We know that the law system judges things according to economic development for sense gratification. We know that the enforcement is the police, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. They're all simply made for sense gratification for the most part, with a little slimmer religiosity left in, so people don't eat each other on the street so far. But the whole society is being directed towards hellish conditions of life. And unless the devotees, there's leaders, the devotees become leaders themselves, or those who are devotees who are potentially leaders, actually take up the position of educating people what an actual leader is, then in this modern, as Prabhupada said, demon crazy instead of democracy. They don't know who a leader is, therefore they elect demons as leaders. Andaya tandira upagayamanaste pisha tantra urudami bara. They're blind, and therefore they follow some blind so-called leader, and both the leader and the blind followers, they simply get into the trouble, falling into a ditch, which means they get more and more implicated in the lower modes of material nature. So one of these duties of this Krishna consciousness movement is to give people vision, spiritual vision, which includes within it material vision, so they can know who actually a leader is, so they can elect proper people to lead them, so the society can actually go forward. Krishna fought had an entire war fought, the Battle of Kurukshetra, to install a real leader. Although materially speaking, in Duryodhana's kingdom, everything was going on materially very well. Even Ravana's kingdom, it was made out of gold. It was materially prosperous. Everyone was happy except for the sages that he was eating. Wasn't a good idea to be a sage. But everyone else was quite materially prosperous. And there were actually some so-called Brahmins doing some sacrifices in order for that prosperity to happen. But he was a demon. He didn't recognize Lord Ramachandra, and he even tried to steal his wife, which he couldn't really do. He didn't really get Ramachandra's wife. Sita, he actually got Veda, what was her name? There was Veda Sara, I think. What's that? When Ravana was touring the universe, trying to conquer it, he came to this place, and there was Veda, I think her name was Veda Sara, and she was performing austerities to get Vishnu as her husband. And Ravana, she was very beautiful, so Ravana came down, and he wanted to seduce her, and she was repulsed by Ravana. So he wanted to drag her away, and he grabbed her hair. He touched it, she grabbed her hair, and she took her hand and just cut her hair off with her hand. So he was quite shocked. And then she said, because you've touched me, therefore I'm going to disappear. But I'm going to come back and get you. So internally she created a fire, she burned herself to ashes, and then she came back again as when Ravana came to steal Sita Devi, she came back as Veda Sara. Her first name was Veda, I can't remember the rest of it. And she took Sita's place, and so Ravana kidnapped her, so she could be the cause of Ravana's death. So even Ravana was prosperous, although his kingdom was prosperous, although it was destroyed when he committed offenses against Lord Ramachandra and his wife, at least a great devotee. Therefore, even if the present society was materially prosperous, which it really isn't, because people have no idea what material prosperity is, although it is becoming more materially prosperous in some ways because of the coronavirus, the air is becoming cleaner, so that's material prosperity. People's diets are becoming simpler, will become simpler, so that's material prosperity. People don't have an opportunity to so much for useless economic development for sense gratification. So things are actually getting better, although people don't realize it. The Jamuna is becoming cleaner because all the pollution, there's no factories going on in Delhi, so the pollution is not flowing into the Jamuna, and therefore all the toxic material is settling down, and so the Jamuna is becoming clearer now. You can see the clouds in the sky now because there's actually progress, although they don't appreciate it, and I'm sure it's not going to last. But what they think is progress is actually destroying them, And when they stop so-called progress, although things are not going to get, in one sense, better, but when they stop getting worse, that's better. So the conclusion is that the world needs real leadership, and we're supposed to be those leaders. Although other religions are also producing leaders, but because they have no complete knowledge, therefore people don't get complete understanding, because they don't have a complete understanding to give them. So although somehow or another they have some knowledge, and they're able to enthuse people to go through all kinds of austerities and on missions and dedicate their lives and their energies to a incomplete understanding, that if we have the complete understanding, at least more complete than any other organization has on reality. And therefore, if we distribute that, then certainly there'll be some progress. And not only distribute it, but if we actually we realize it, then we'll become much more efficient and effective in our distribution of it. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Thank you, Maharaj. So what, for us who are living in the city, what will be the next step to get milk? Let's say it's like from the cows who are protected or something. Can we do something? I mean, it's like not just waiting.
Get a room and hide the cow in it. No. Obviously, I was just reading this morning, actually, since I had a little extra time. I got an atlas, and Slovenia has only 1,900,000 people in it. Maybe it has more now, I don't know, or maybe less, I don't know. And only 300,000 live in Ljubljana. And that means 6 times more people live in the villages and the towns. So Ljubljana or Slovenia of course, they have a lot of mountains around here and trees, but still there's so much opportunity to start at least a small farm here. But of course, I don't know if there's any farmers here, but there's a lot of farmers in Slovenia, I imagine, although they're probably disappearing like everywhere else in the world. Agricultural businesses. If you want to control people, you control their food. You want to control anyone, you control their food. You can make a tiger your friend if you control his food. So it's not that the Asuras, they don't know that, so they're trying to control everyone's food supply. So we should understand that too, and we can, by our preaching, we can get some people to become devotees, some farmers, and we can support them spiritually. Then they can support us materially. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Both here and in some other places, Srila Prabhupada mentions Brahminical culture. So do I understand it correctly that Brahminical culture is developing these qualities that you have explained?
Yeah, of course. How can you have a culture without the qualities?
So what is Brahminical culture?
It means I'm sure there's a lot of definitions you can give, but here it mentions that Brahminical culture is interested in things like cow protection. In other words, you have the Brahmin class, you have the Shudra class, you have the Vaishya class, you have the Kshatriya class, and the Brahminical class. Now, Brahmins know that the purpose of life is Yagya Vai Vishnu. So they explain it to all the other classes of men. They teach them how to utilize their energies in the service of Vishnu. And when all these classes work together for the sacrifice for Vishnu, the Shudras assist, the Vaishyas protect the cows, get the milk products that are necessary for sacrifice. The Kshatriyas arrange the sacrifice, get the ingredients for it, and the Brahmins perform the sacrifice. And then Vishnu is satisfied and prosperity is reigned for all. So that's called culture. Vanashram acharitaha purushena pumatpuman. It's the beginning of human life. Brahminical culture means human culture. Actually human culture. all based upon sacrifice for Vishnu, and everyone engaged in it. People who are civilized or want to become civilized, they're engaged in that culture for sacrificing for Vishnu. Is that right? Anything else? Yes.
I have a question. I'm not sure it's a good question for a class, but it's connected to Hiranyakashipu. We see the demigods all go to Brahma, up in their arms, worried that Hiranyakashipu is gonna take power. Whereas I am often astonished to see scores of devotees admiring Hitler or Stalin, or both, who are patent certified Rakshasas and Asuras.
Yeah.
So how does it happen? How does it match that they are devotees and they are admirers?
Well, I think most of us are aspiring to become devotees. I wouldn't say that anyone who picks up a bead bag is automatically devotee. Prabhupada said it's not so easy to become an actual Vaishnava. We're trying to become Vaishnava. As far as, I don't know exactly what you're referring to. None of my friends talk about how wonderful Hitler and Stalin were. But I don't know exactly what their praise is, so I can't really make a comment on that, exactly what part of their history they're praising. Is there some specific thing that they're praising about them, or just in general?
Strong rule, they are monarchs, we are supporters of monarchy, and they created order and discipline.
Yeah, I mean, Ravana created order and discipline, so did Kamsa. Generally, we don't go around praising them so much, at least for that particular quality. But it is a quality, just like Nawab Hussain Shah, not exactly the most illustrious people in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But when Sanatana Goswami, who was forced to become his minister, retired, and Hussain Shah, he came to find out what was wrong with Sanatana Goswami, because Sanatana Goswami was saying that he was sick and he's taking leave to study the Bhagavatam. Not exactly, he didn't tell me to study the Bhagavatam, but he was on sick leave. And then Nawab was a little concerned because Sanatana Goswami was a very important element in his administration. So he came to see what was wrong because he had heard rumors that he was actually quite healthy. So he came there, and immediately Sanatana Goswami offered him respect. He knew he was not exactly, his job was to kill Brahminical culture, but he offered respect because his Prabhupada writes that he was a representative of God as the ruler. So he offered him the respect. So that much we can offer. If we somehow or another got into a time machine and we were introduced to Adolf Hitler or Stalin, we give them some respect. We wouldn't walk in and say, you guys are, you're all going to hell. You're all big demons, You've heard of Hiranyakashipu? Well, you know what Krishna did to him, right? I think we would be a little bit more diplomatic. So that much respect we can offer, because Krishna has empowered them. He's empowered them to harass the demons, because that's how Krishna works. He creates demons so they can fight each other, and he doesn't have to come back down and kill them. They kill each other. So they're empowered by Krishna to do their work. It's not by... And to get to that position, you must have done something at least in harmony with tapasya, or the modes of nature, in order to get such an exalted position. To become the leader of the demons also takes a lot of austerity. But they're discreet in us. Therefore, we don't spend too much time praising them. Anything else? Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.